What's good? It is hard to believe, but college basketball has arrived. Welcome into your Early Edge Futures episode of College Basketball. We are powered, as always, by SportsLine, the best value in all of sports betting. I, of course, am your host, the coach, and I've got two go-to guys this year that are going to be here every single step of the way. We're taping this on Monday, November 8th. Tuesday, November 9th, over 150 basketball games to kick off the season. It's going to be crazy. We also need you to lock in your futures bets. So let's bring in the stars of the show right here and right now. You know them, you love them. First and foremost, live from Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen, Zack and Zack Cimini. Hello, sir.
Good morning to the both of you. I was real excited when I was asked to come on this Futures episode. First Futures episode I've been a part of, and I love college basketball. It's going to be a long 6 months, Coach, but hopefully Justin and I can give you a couple of good tidbits and future advice to take some future props on.
You're damn right. We're going to be there every step of the way together. You're in Las Vegas, all the way across the country, live from New York City. We call him Jay Smooth, Justin Perri. Hello, sir.
Morning, Coach. Morning, Zack. Yeah, really excited to be here. It is going to be an action-packed couple of months. So excited to do my first full season of college basketball with SportsLine. So let's kick it off. Let's get some good future picks in and see what happens.
All right, let's get to it. We got several different categories we're going to hop into today, so you better have your paper and your pencil handy from the jump. Here's what the preseason top five looks like. Gonzaga, the Zags. Now, they've had some offseason turmoil. We know about their head coach, Mark Few, getting the DUI. How do they respond? He'll be suspended for one game. UCLA, Kansas, Villanova, and Texas round out the top five in the college basketball USA Today coaches poll in that top five. So let's jump in to overvalued first. There's always a team that we look at the top and say, they just shouldn't be right there. Zack, let's start with you. Who do you got?
I'm going to say Villanova at 12-1. You just mentioned the top five, Coach. And it's not that they're overvalued in terms of they're going to have a horrible season. I just think they're overvalued where they're priced in the market. Maybe they should be in the top 10, top 15 range, but 12-1, third team on that list there is a little bit too good of odds for me. I look at their team. I read Jay Wright's book a few years ago, and he is not a proponent of transfers. You noticed the past few years, all these colleges are doing all these transfers. Villanova's not doing a thing. They had a guard go to Alabama, transfer out. This year they had Cole Swider transfer out to Syracuse. And now you look at the makeup of their team, a lot of seniors, but you look at the past Jay Wright teams that have been really upper echelon. He has the recruits coming in. You have sophomores and freshmen blending in with those seniors. That's not the case this year. It's going to be just those seniors. They're going to be good, but when you have just seniors leading your team, I think they're vulnerable, more vulnerable without those young guys in there.
Yeah, as a former player myself, whenever you have new players come in, it's so hard to get them meshed in November and December to get ready for conference season. And when you're doing all that at the highest level, very, very difficult. Great nuggets by you. Now, Jay Smooth, who do you think is the most overvalued team on the board this year?
I'm going to go actually like straight for the head honcho and say Gonzaga.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say that plus 600 is a little bit too, low of odds for me to be taking them. This is really just going to be that fan favorite pick. You're going to lose a little bit of value because everybody knows the name. They know how dominant they've been. They're going to be good. They've definitely reloaded. Drew Timmy's going to be a beast. They got Holmgren coming in. It's going to be a fun season for them inside. We'll talk maybe a little bit more about him later, but I just don't see them taking that serious next step and winning it all. I mean, they're going to need to. It's been hard. They're going to be the favorites, but again, plus 600 is a little bit cheap for me. I want a little bit more money to take them because it's hard to win the tournament.
Well, it is hard to win, and plus they've got to a point where that's the only thing left for them. So as a team and as a fan base, if they don't win the national championship, they're like, well, that wasn't a winning season. We saw what happened last year in the Final Four. They were a dominant number one, and they couldn't get the job done. All right, that's overvalued, but I want a couple of teams, and I'm going to come right back to you, Jay Smooth, that are undervalued in your mind. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Kansas, Coach. I know you like Kansas. I'm a big Bill Self guy. Am I wrong about that? With that
scout? No, that's my squad. That's my squad.
Oh, okay, good.
That was my dream growing up and play for KU. Yeah,
man. I think they're going to be great. They're bringing in a good amount of talent. I'm just pulling up my sheet here really
I was
quick.
in my head. I thought you were saying overvalued. That's why I gave you that face.
No.
So I'm going
They're
to take that face back. I'll take the face back now because they are undervalued. Go ahead.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, I mean, so they're getting in Remy Martin, right? He's huge. He played at Arizona State last year, averaged 19.1 points a game. He's going to be a big scorer for them coming in. They're returning another 4 scorers who average 10 a game. This is going to be a big team. Bill Self has been great. Kansas has been winning in this conference for the last 15, 16 years. So they're one of my favorite picks maybe for a conference title. But yeah, I really like them. You can get them at plus 1,600 at Caesars. That feels a little, undervalued. So I definitely will have a little money on that one.
It's definitely better than plus 600 for Gonzaga. Zach, who do you have as undervalued?
I've got a team a little bit further down there, Illinois, 18-1. And for me, it's just the makeup of their team. Kofi Cockburn, one of the best big men in the country. He had his options. Remember, he entered the transfer portal, listened to a few teams. Kentucky was a main option there, but he decided to come back to Illinois. I think the team feeds off that, and he's going to miss the first 3 games due to suspension. But when he comes back, I think the team's elevated. And then they have Trent Frazier. Seems like he's been there forever. He's one of the best lethal shooters in college basketball. And you remember last year, Ayo Dosunmu was out for a stretch. They still won games without him. So I think this team's going to continue to shock some people a little bit. And they just have that makeup. It doesn't matter what your record is when it goes to March Madness. As long as you get in, they have that makeup where you can see them getting to the Sweet 16 and advancing.
And I got a little nugget for you that might shock you. The head coach for Illinois is who? Brad Underwood, right? Yep, at my high school, McPherson, Kansas. That's where Brad is from. I played high school basketball with his younger brother, TJ. We have a 50th anniversary this coming May for all the state championship teams, which I was a part of too. Brad Underwood will be the guest speaker for that entire celebration in McPherson, Kansas next May. So I would love it if Illinois was competing for the national championship and then bringing a national championship coach, because I'll be the MC of the evening. So it's going to be really, really cool. So it all could come together, Zach. That could be really cool. All right, awesome. Quickly. Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? Quickly, let's recap your overvalued and undervalued. Here we go. Villanova, Gonzaga as your overvalued, and your undervalued, we're going to go with Illinois and Kansas, which I love both those, plus 1,800 and plus 1,600. All right, let's get into our Wooden Award winner sprinkles. Now, this is what we would consider a prop bet in any other sport. You're betting on an individual, so be very careful because an injury or academics or something could happen and take them out of the race. So, Zach, let's start with you. Who do you got?
I've got a couple of guys from the Big Ten. I'll start off with Trace Jackson Davis of Indiana, 20-1 odds. I just like him to continue to excel. His freshman year, he averaged 14 points, 8 rebounds. Last year, 19 points, 9 rebounds. And they brought in Mike Woodson as their new coach. This is a guy that's been around the NBA circles, it seems like, forever. And he's going to get the most out of Trace Jackson Davis. So let's take him 20-1. And then Jaden Ivey, 25-1 from Purdue. Actually has a teammate, Travion Williams, that has better odds at 20-1. So keep an eye on both those guys. But they were explosive in the tournament last year. He's one of those guys that finished the last 7 to 8 games with huge games and really electrified Purdue and almost coming back and winning against North Texas. So watch out for him. He's one of those slashers. And Purdue really has been put on the map by Carson Edwards 4 or 5 years ago with Matt Painter. So I think both of those guys have the spotlight. Jaden Ivey, 25-1.
Oh, we're going to the Big Ten for both. All right, Jay Smooth, who do you have looking out for that Wooden Award?
Yeah, my picks are going to be a little more chalky. I really like 2 guys that are coming out of these big schools. You're going to hear me pretty high on Kansas the whole show. I really like Remy Martin again. He's plus 800 or so. You're going to get good value on him. He's going to be that guy. He's going to have a lot of the spotlight on him. If he can lead this team to, another great season, a big run, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it. This is basically why he transferred out of ASU to get into the spotlight to, boost his image, compete for the Wooden, increase his draft stock. This guy's going to be a player for a while that we talk about. He's got a great name of 2. So yeah, I like him at plus 800. And then I'm going to go, as much as I think Gonzaga is maybe a little overvalued, Drew Timmy's not. Drew Timmy is he is legit, man. And yeah. I don't like taking the highest or the lowest odds, whatever you want to call it. But the number's plus 600. He's the real deal. And if he takes a step up, again, they're going to have Chet Holmgren, the 7-1-5 tool player who can sort of do it all to sort of open it up. But they also he's literally like the perfect stretch 5. So that'll open Timmy up down low. And then they've also lost a good deal of scoring. So I think Timmy can take that next step. If he gets to that 22, 23 points per game, it's going to be hard to give it to anybody else. So, yeah, I think it's worth a sprinkle at plus 600 for just how dominant he might be this year.
Yeah, let's be honest. They don't have the best schedule in the country playing out there in Spokane. They have a lot of easy games on their schedule, so that could really boost his resume, so to speak. So quickly recapping our Wooden Award winner nominees. Zack is on Trace Jackson Davis at plus 2,000 and Jaden Ivey plus 2,500, both players from the Big Ten. And then Jay Smooth is on Drew Timme and Remy Martin plus 600 and plus 800. All right, now let's move on to another category that may not have as great of odds, but you only got to beat like 10 or 11 teams to cash these tickets. So, Jay Smooth, let's start with you. Conference winners, and I know you have 3 that you really love. What are they?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm going to sound like a broken record, but let's go with Kansas plus 180 in the Big 12.
That's all right. That's all right.
You know, again, but like I said, I believe Bill Self and Kansas have been able to take this title, at least in terms of like, sometimes they've shared it in the past couple of years, but it's something like 14 of the last 16 years. They had that historic run, and Baylor took the title last season, right? Baylor had the best record in the Big 12. They're going to sort of come down from that. I think it's a good year for Kansas to bounce back. They're going to want to win the conference. They're going to want to perform. They have a great team coming in. Bill Self has, like I said, done really well in this transfer window, securing Remy Martin. So I really like them at plus 180. It's probably one of the actually like worst lines you're going to get in terms of these conference winners, but it's a pretty good bet here. Then I'll go to the Summit League. So we've all seen what Oral Roberts can do, but they're still being priced at plus 600. I think that's worth a good sprinkle. You know, that's a good odds for, you know, with Amos. I can't say that guy's name, but I think that's right. But no, he's pretty spectacular, and the coaching was good. We saw their run in the last tournament. I do think that they can make some noise, especially for that price. I believe they're the third favorite right now. I think it should maybe be the second or even tied for the first. So we'll see how that goes. And then last, ACC, I really like Florida State. They've shown year in, year out how they can just sort of find guys, make noise, you know, be a team that can beat these other teams. This is one of these conferences where the teams just beat up on each other all season, right? And Florida State plays the type of basketball that can sustain those types of games, that can beat up on other people. They're going to compete with Duke at plus 450. I really like it.
You know, I saw last night there was a one of those specials on one of those weird channels, and it was just a look at Roy Williams, and they were on campus with him as his career comes to an end. And I forgot how much I love Roy Williams. He was at KU for so long, and things change. Things change. And in the ACC, some things never change, though, and that's the fact that they just beat each other up year in and year out. All right, Zach, what do you have for your conference winners today?
I'm going to go with the MAC and in the ACC as well. But in the MAC, you heard Justin just say Remy Martin transferred out of ASU to Kansas. I'm going to take Toledo 5-1 in the MAC. They had a guard transfer to ASU in Marion Jackson. But I think it helps Toledo because he really hurt the team last year. He was taking a lot of bad shots towards the end of the last year. They were 16-4 at one point, 11-1 in conference, and he is just a high-volume shooter that was hurting the team. I think they have a better balance, and they get back to playing good basketball with him gone because they have a lot of good scorers on that team. And then Louisville plus 650 in the ACC. You see Duke up there. It's Coach K's last year. You see North Carolina up there with Hubert Davis as the coach now. A lot of talent with those teams, but I like Louisville. For one, Chris Mack, he's still going to be the coach. He has that 6-game suspension to start the year. But when he comes back, they're going to be ready to go. He brought in a lot of blue chip transfers. Not many teams do that in Power 5 conferences, but blue chip transfers. Mason Faulkner from Western Carolina, 17 points per game. Jared West from Marshall, a quality guard, scored 14 points per game. And Matt Cross, a guy that left Miami only 14 games into his freshman year last year, 6'7" guy. He's going to be a great talent for them. So I think Chris Mack, they're going to start the season without him, of course. But anytime that happens, I think the players are going to play with a bit of a chip on their shoulder. Of course, when Mack comes back, he's going to be ready to go as well.
I'm always amused at these suspensions that these coaches get, and they're like, "Oh, they're suspended on November 10th." Really? What does that do? They're going to be suspended against Tennessee Martin or somebody, but
I think his
Whatever.
first game back, coach, is against Michigan State, December 1st. So
Nice one to come back for, Mr. Mack. Nice one to come back for. All right, quickly, let's recap the conference winners from my guys. Zack is on Louisville to win the ACC, plus 650. Toledo win the MAC. And then Jay Smooth is on Kansas in the Big 12, Oral Roberts in the Summit, and Florida State in the ACC. A little head-to-head for my guys there. All right, now let's get into the real good stuff. Who's going to be the teams that are able to defy the odds, overcome the injuries, overcome the drama, and make it all the way to the Final Four? Zack, I'm coming to you first.
Well, at this point in the year, you've got to really take the teams up top, and that's what I'm going to do here. Gonzaga, Purdue, Texas, and Illinois. As I touched on Illinois, I like the makeup of their team. They have that tournament look team, so Illinois is there. Purdue, just loaded with Travion Williams and Jaden Ivey in the backcourt. They have a couple of guys in the front court. And I think Matt Painter is an underrated coach. We see Coach K leaving. I think he can get his name in that upper echelon. He's been there forever, only 51 years old, and seems like he's hitting his niche with recruiting and on-court talent that just keeps to go sky high. Gonzaga, they're going to be there, being from the WCC. As long as they keep playing the way they played the last few years, they're going to be in that Final Four. In Texas, which I'll touch on here in a few minutes, Chris Beard goes from Texas Tech to Texas. He knows that conference very well, brought in so many transfers. You just have to expect them to be there when it's all said and done.
Man, wouldn't that be amazing that that Texas with a brand new coach could make it all the way to the promised land? But as you mentioned, they have a lot of good players. All right, Jay Smooth, who do you got? What 4 teams are you looking at?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Texas really quick. I really like them too. They didn't quite make my Final Four predictions, but I do think what they're doing over there is really interesting. Bringing in so many transfers and building that way is not something you really see in college basketball. So excited to see how this sort of little experiment works out. But my Final Four, you want to talk about chalk again, you're looking at these teams on paper. That's sort of how we're doing our analysis. We haven't really seen anybody play yet. But if we're going from on paper, I'm probably looking at the top 2. Again, Gonzaga bringing in the #1 overall prospect, and Holmgren with True Timmy on the side. Like, it's not even on the side, literally in the center of it all. It's going to be very interesting. They should continue to dominate, make the tournament no problem, probably cruise into that Sweet 16 before they start really getting tested. I do like them to make the Final Four. And then I'm going to go Kansas. Shocker, I know. But again, Bill Self is just, he's a great coach. He should be able to carry this team. He has a lot of talent. He did more work than ever in the transfer window. I'm going to talk maybe a little bit about the transfer window at the very end. I think it's so fascinating what's going on with all this movement. And then you're going to hear me talk a little bit about Villanova. I know Zack isn't too high on them, but I do think that Jay Wright is due for a little bit of a run. He does do decently with players that have stuck around for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how they do. I don't know if they're going to be, this powerhouse, but they should be able to, contest with teams, and that's what it takes. I mean, in the tournament, it's about staying alive and then making some big shots in the last 5 minutes. And they definitely are going to have the potential to do that. And then lastly, I'm going to go with Michigan. They have a great recruiting class, 2 guys in the top 11 of the recruiting class. It's going to be really interesting to see what they do, along with Dickinson, who I almost mentioned for the Wooden Awards. So it's going to be a good one for Michigan too. So yeah, my 4 is going to be Gonzaga, Kansas, Nova, and Michigan.
All right, let's quickly recap their Final Four picks. Here's what they look like. Gonzaga, Purdue, Texas, and Illinois for Zack, and Gonzaga, Kansas, Villanova, and Michigan for Jay Smooth. All right, we only have about 90 seconds left in the show. I need your pick to win the national championship. Jay Smooth, who are you giving to us?
So I'm going to take Kansas like the broken record I am. It's going to be a great season for them. 16-1 is probably my favorite play on the board. I'm also going to be looking at Nova. Again, sorry, Zack, we're going to have to see how this one goes. But, my last little thing before I sort of, hand off for the episode, obviously love the episode. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens at the beginning of this season. We're going to have to keep our eyes close because all this movement means a lot of market inefficiencies. So be prepared for some, crazy starts to the year in terms of betting, and don't be afraid to start small and build bigger.
All right. Very good. Zack, what do you got?
I'm going to go with Texas 14-1. I talked about Chris Beard stays in the conference, goes to Texas where they have more tools, more resources, and just brings in so many transfers. Marcus Carr from Minnesota. He's actually 6th on the Wooden Awards futures prospects. Timmy Allen from Utah. Christian Bishop from Creighton. Trey Mitchell, double-double machine from UMass, 19 points per game last year. And how about Devin Askew, a guard from Kentucky, also came in. And there's still a holdover talent from Shaka Smart's era. Andrew Jones, he's 30-1 in the Wooden entrepreneur. So many players, and he's shown in the past with Texas Tech, he can bring in these guys quickly. One of the few coaches that can get them to mesh together by midseason. So this team's going to be there definitely when it's all said and done. And my last tidbit, ATS-wise, this new NIL deal for these college basketball players, I think you didn't really see it in college football besides the quarterback from Oklahoma Sooners and Spencer Rattler kind of struggled a little bit. But you see the faces of these players every single day. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that pressure with all these NIL deals. Remy Martin has that dealership deal with Kansas. We'll see how he handles that.
I think the basketball players are going to do a little bit better than those football players because, like, look, the place is paying Spencer Rattler. They're like, he's not even on the field. He's not even on the field. They're spending all that money. Miami's playing all those football players, and they're doing nothing. All right. So many good picks, so much good information. And remember, here at the Early Edge, it's about the information, and everybody uses different books. And everybody has different bets. So use the information to utilize it for yourself to make the most informed picks possible. And remember, here at SportsLine, we do shows for every sport, so turn on your notifications. So every time something new drops live into your feed, you are notified. There's only one thing left to do, and you know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these college basketball future picks and plays straight to the pay window. For my man Jay Smooth and Zack and the jeweler who puts it all together here at the brand. I am the coach. Tell your friends there's only one brand that you can be informed, you can be educated, but you can also be entertained. We like to call it the Early Edge. Good luck.